Oh, that is kind of enough. Good morning, good noon, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It is your Orlando here again, bringing you the new episode of Opera Words. And today, of course, we're talking about an opera that I have been avoiding for the past 2 years, which is the Magic Flute, but not the holiday presentation. It is the Zauberflöte, which is the actual Magic Flute. And I was playing probably one of the most famous aria in the entire history of opera, which is the Queen of the Night aria. I have friends of mine who is sopranos, and the first thing people who doesn't really actually listen to opera nor classical music are saying is, well, can you sing me that aria? And yeah, well, that's one of the most famous soprano lines. So, whatever. The Zauberflöte is in German opera, of course, and is not like pure wall-to-wall singing like Verdi or Puccini. There's actually a lot of spoken dialogue between the notes, and Mozart composed it in 1791, right at the very end of his life. And actually, that's one of the last works he finished. The libretto was written by Emanuel Schlandrer. I can't really pronounce German. Skandler is a theater guy who was basically part actor, part entrepreneur, and part magician wannabe. And he and Mozart were friends, and he roped Mozart into composing an opera for his very not fancy suburban theater in Vienna called the Theater of All the Windeur of the Wieden. This wasn't like really high society court sponsored opera. I mean, back to the old days, it was still the court. But this was an opera that regular people come after working, sitting on wooden benches and eating sausage, German sausage, while yelling at the stage. The idea is to make something that is really catchy, emotional, and full of magical tricks and special effects, easy for everyday audience to understand. So that's why the Magic Flute is the holiday presentation, of course, and also a kind of weird mix because it's got the fairy tale vibes, the Enlightenment philosophy that was going on in the late 18th century, but also the slapstick comedy and the series of Masonic symbolism that all goes along together into this one show, and is like a 3-hour fever dream, but somehow it works and it makes it the most renownable opera ever, and especially the most renownable aria, I would like to say. And Mozart literally poured his heart into it because, he probably realized that he is at the end of his life at that year. And even though he was kind of broke and sick, and the Zauberflöte premiered on September 30th, 1971, Mozart died just a few months later. So he actually got to see it become kind of huge before he actually passed away. And the Zauberflöte actually matters a lot because it's basically a perfect mirror of the late 18th century. You can feel the Enlightenment ideas blinding through, the reason over superstition, brotherhood, tolerance, but is also still wrapped up into these magical fairy tales and good versus evil and the good composition. It is like humanity trying to crawl out of the dark ages but still carrying a few dragons on its back, basically. Well, I feel like my skill of writing similes and metaphors are improving. But anyway, as musically is kind of insane because you have everything from simple Flocky's bird catchy song, Papagano sing, and all the way to the Queen of the Night that show off the Coloratura aria style basically sounds like Olympia, or at least something that challenge both the soprano and the audience, of course. It's an opera where you can laugh at the magic bill one for the previous moment and solving over this love with the next. That's like the Mozart's peak. Also, just a fun fact, Nander himself played Papagano in the first original production, and rumor has is he actually couldn't sing very well, which is why Papagano's music is written in simple and almost spoken like compared to the other fancy noble characters. And well, we like it anyway. We support him for his crazy ideas, and he is actually one of the main person who contributed to the composition of the magic flute. So we love to see it. Yeah, and himself playing on stage, of course, is pretty funny. And a quick overview of some poses. So in Act 1, we have Prince Tamano is rescued from a monster and shown a portrait of Pamina, the daughter of the Queen of the Night. And of course, one of the most classical thing that will always happen, he falls in love with her immediately, and the queen tells him that Pamina has been kidnapped by this evil sorcerer, Sarastro, and Tamil and the bird catcher Papagano are sent to rescue her, and they are armed with this magic flute and a set of magic bells. And Act 2 is turning out that Sarastro isn't evil at all. He's actually a good and decent guy. He represents wisdom and reason. And Tamano and Pamina have a series of trials to prove themselves worthy of joining his enlightened brotherhood. But meanwhile, however, the Queen of the Night is plotting rebellion and tries to force Pamina to kill Sarastro. And in the end, Tamino and Panama succeed, and they have the love trophies, and Papagano found his own little lovebird, Papagena, and the forces of the darkness are defeated. Well, big enlightenment way, and well, that's the end. It's just a simple but deep, I guess, love story that is really fun and cute to hear. And then here comes my comment for this matte production. The current matte production is, I believe, by Simon McBurney, and if you've seen it, it's kind of a lot, because there's a live artist on stage making sound effect in full view and the orchestra pit and lifted, so we can see every player breathing, and the set is a massive highlighting platform that launches back and forth, and they throw projections on the walls, of course, again, and they have chalk scribes flying through the air and the birds being puppeteers with the coat hanger, and it's kind of cool but sometimes feel also very exhausting, especially in Act 1. There were a few moments where I felt like the visuals were trying too hard to impress me, that I can't fully pay attention to the composition and the opera itself. It is also like being trapped inside someone's very expensive art school thesis. It is beautiful, massive, expensive, but maybe a little insecure, I guess. That being said, I genuinely like the race pit, watching the musicians interact with the singers, especially during Papagano's scene. That was cute and adorable. And when Act 2 rolled around, the chaos settled down a bit, and the stage finally started matching the emotional core of the composition. So yeah, big points for creativity, but some deducted for being too clever, quotation mark, for its own good. And I do have something to say about the selection of the singers. Ben Bliss as Tamino was so consistent and elegant because he is the golden sound that just flows naturally and he doesn't overreact. But there were times I wanted some sort of more urgency. The voice was clean, but emotionally it stayed a little bit too polite. And as if for Golda's Shruti as Pamina, she delivered a beautiful, heartfelt it was, and her voice is just glowed in the space. But I think she was underserved by the blocking. There were moments where she seemed swallowed by the stage setting, and it's like she was giving everything emotionally, but the production didn't frame her enough to let that land properly, I guess. And we have Thomas alignments, which is personally saying one of my personal singer of the night as Papagano. Well, alignments is funny and like actually funny, not quotation mark opera funny. He brought this warmth and awkwardness that made the whole audience fall in love with him. Still, I feel like the director made him do too much. Like dragging props, running around, joking with kids is great, but it's too much. It gets to a point that is a little bit chaos or gimsky. Let this guy go sing something, I guess. And we have Catherine Levick as Queen of the Night, who debuted on the stage of the Met 12 years ago in 2013 as this role in the same opera, and she has been playing this figure for the past 12 years at the Met for the holiday presentation, so isn't guaranteed of qualification and the quality. Well, yeah, she crushes all the high F's, but dare I say it, the acting didn't really always match. I know she had been playing this role for 12 years. Maybe this is her own description and examination of the character, but the voice was there, but emotionally she felt detached. It's like she hits the notes, but something is kind of off. But yeah. And we have Stephen Milling gives Sarah Stroll that deep, almost staturian gravities that you want, but there were moments where I wish he projected more personally. He sounded amazing, but the role can feel like it's stuck in lecture mode. It's one of those parts that needs something extra to make it come alive, and I'm not too sure this version had much of it. But yeah, and also we have Ivan Rochester as the conductor. Evan Rochester, sorry. He keeps things moving with break tempos, maybe a little bit too brisk in parts, and the overture feel like it's being crushed by bees. Yeah, and some of the chorus members felt slightly rushed, but I like how clean and clear the strings sounded in the trial section, and he gave the woodwind plenty of room to dance. And there were also a few moments that where the brass completely overwhelmed the singer. Yeah, I do get it, but we're doing this in Lyman composition, but please give the soprano some space. And if you haven't seen, I don't really think any of my audience haven't seen the Magic Flute before because it's just simply so famous. But there's some difference between this German production. I mean, not necessarily the German production, just like the Zauberflöte and the Magic Flute. So just if you have time, then sure, go see it. But if you don't, just stick with the holiday presentation of the Magic Flute, I guess. There's still something unique and deserve you to see for this on my flute, but yeah, I probably won't highly recommend it. The staging isn't for everyone, and some of the acting choices didn't totally land. And the Queen of the Night's costume looked like it came from a villain's themed bridal story, but you know what? That's kind of like the operatic theme that it holds, and just the overall conclusion I can point out is like average and moderate production, so it doesn't feel that much different than the holiday presentation of the Magic Flute, even though there are very huge differences, but still I think it's like a 2-choose-1 basically. That's all I can say. And thank you so much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or opinions on what I said, please just email me at aulindatang@gmail.com. It is aulindatang@gmail.com. Yeah, I finally started some criticism because, I finally started writing negative comments for people. Yay. Why I started doing that is because, as what I said in my last episode, I feel like criticism is necessary for improvements, and generally, it doesn't disobey my morals. But additionally, on Monday I have this lecture with a music professor at, I think, Juilliard or somewhere, and the thing is, I kind of disagree with what they're saying, so I went on this debate with him after the lecture, and I realized that I actually have negative things that I do want to say, and it is normal for me to hold some negative opinions on people, and criticism is a form of improvement, so I guess I kind of decide to turn off and switch into what I really want to say in my following episodes, including this. As always, thank you so much for listening, and see you in my next episode.